It is the 9th day of March 2023 and you're just in time for TV47 News Tonight. Quite plenty prepared just for you, but first to top stories. Tonight.
Kuanzia siku ya leo tunaanza sasa kipindi kipya ya ukombozi. Tunaanza ile chama chetu ya ukombozi wa taifa letu.
Azimio leaders to kick off mass action protests on 20th of this month.
Get up, stand up.
This as CS Kithure Kindiki warns against violence.
I direct all security agencies to ensure that our security facilities remain protected areas and should not be allowed to become a theater for politics or rowdy and unlawful behavior, including unauthorized access.
Also tonight, what are President William Ruto's options regarding the mass action?
The best thing is to give him support for over time. If they don't perform, then you have the attitude and the space to critique that government.
Pundits say it's better to seek truth as leaders allied to Kenya Kwanza dismiss handshake proposal.
I think it is, he has already expressed himself that we need to establish the office of the leader of opposition being paid, or that particular office being taken care of by taxpayers' money, and I think that is the way we should engage.
Plus,
we have witnessed continued theatrics, antics, and maneuvers by criminals who continue to exhibit high levels of impunity.
we are changing tact. Interior CS Professor Kithure Kindiki warns bandits, assures residents of the troubled North Rift region that the government will deal with the criminals. Good evening. Nyahururu is on the sign language docket, and my name is Stanley Nyahururu. You can always talk to us on our socials below your screens. Now tonight, Azimio Coalition Party leader Raila Odinga has launched his resistance movement against President William Ruto's administration, declaring countrywide mass action in 11 days' time. Terming the Kenya Kwanza regime as heartless and dictatorial, Odinga cited 15 points to justify his mass action call. But as the Polycoma reports, Odinga's mass action call is likely to run him into a coalition course with the government.
Fully dressed in combat attire to defend the opposition's agitation against President William Ruto's regime.
Get up, stand up.
Azimio la Umoja campaign of defiance against Kenya Kwanza went a notch higher on Thursday after coalition leader Raila Odinga made good his threat and called for mass action, directing his supporters to converge in the city in 11 days' time to protest against the Ruto-Gachagua regime.
Kenya is ripe for a people's movement for the defense of democracy. And the process begins today, here and now. Ruto must go.
Odinga anchored his mass action call on a 15-point agenda, ranging from the high cost of living, the reconstitution of IEBC, the creation of what he termed as unnecessary and unconstitutional offices, and the tribalization and ethnicization of the civil service.
Today, we begin telling Ruto and Gachagua that we indeed are the true shareholders in this country. All the people of Kenya are collectively shareholders in our country. We begin telling Ruto and Gachagua that we understand that a caring government cannot emerge from an illegitimate regime like Kenya Kwanza.
Azimio's daring protest and petition to the State House and other key state installations is however likely to put the opposition on a collision course with the government, with Interior CS Professor Kithure Kindiki warning of dire consequences.
I direct all security agencies to ensure that our security facilities remain protected areas and should not be allowed to become a theater for politics or rowdy and unlawful behavior, including unauthorized access.
Azimio has invoked Section 37 of the Constitution that gives every Kenyan the right to demonstrate and petition the government, with the opposition bigwigs saying the mass action will be peaceful.
We launch the MDD because Kenya Kwanza is illegitimate and therefore incapable of listening to the cries of our people. The people are now taking back all their delegated powers. It is now action time.
To restore the dignity of the Kenyan people and to put back our country on the path to prosperity. This illegitimate regime must go.
Azimio will however continue with their People's Baraza meetings, with Odinga leading the team in Migori on Friday, Narok on Saturday, and Mombasa on Sunday, and wrapping up the weekend tour in Kilifi on Monday. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Right now, President William Ruto faces a few options to address the mass action called by opposition leaders. Pundits say the head of state could call a truce and put a stop to the mass action, or choose to ignore the opposition leaders altogether. And as Flora Limuki reports, leaders allied to the Kenya Kwanza Alliance have rubbished the handshake talks, saying they will not tolerate it.
The lapse of the 14 days ultimatum by Azimio One Kenya Coalition Party Wednesday midnight that was announced last month is set to brew a fresh storm in the country, with all eyes now fixed on the tactics that will be imposed by the ruling Kenya Kwanza administration, captained by President William Ruto. This coincides with the 5th anniversary of the handshake between former President Uhuru Kenyatta and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya boss Raila Odinga, and yet another standoff when the latter has announced the official start of mass action against the current regime.
Take note that on 20th March of 2023, we have a date with destiny in Nairobi.
Political pundits opine that the opposition's gimmicks might be weighing down Ruto, further affecting his ability to implement his administration's policies. This even as Ruto allied lawmakers castigate the mass action, saying that Raila is trying to find a soft landing in the government.
In 2002, of course, he was a minister. In 2007, 2008, he became the prime minister through the violence, because we have to say as it is. In 2018, we remember the famous handshake. He has learned that the only way he can ascend to a leadership position is to creating chaos in the country.
The last three heads of state, Daniel Moi, Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta, had to work with Odinga in one way or another to have a conducive environment for them to deliver on their promises. President Ruto and his allies have dismissed any possibility of a handshake, saying it kills the oversight role of the opposition team.
Ati auzie huyu rais wetu woga, ati aitwe kwa handshake.
The best thing is to give him support for over time. If they don't perform, then you have the attitude and the space to critique that government.
This comes on the backdrop of the controversial push for an official office of the opposition leader, which has received the backing of President William Ruto.
And he outsmarted Moi. That's why the Moi family was thrown out, because he outsmarted his teacher. Raila is also his teacher, and he outsmarted him in getting elected. The question is whether the teacher has found new ammunition to fix the student and whether the student is also ready for that likelihood.
I think it is, he has already expressed himself that we need to establish the office of the leader of opposition being paid, or that particular office being taken care of by taxpayers' money, and I think that is the way we should engage. We should not look back and now start engaging with handshake narratives or handshake discussions.
Previously, the former premier successively used ultimatums to arm twist the government. Whether President Ruto will finally outsmart the perennial opposition leader is a matter of wait and see. Flora Limuki, TV47.
To some party politics, the East Africa Legislative Assembly Member of Parliament, Kanini Kega, was today kicked out of the Jubilee party meeting. The youth at the meeting ejected the ELA MP from the meeting that was attended by a section of Jubilee party members led by Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni. Kega, who recently aligned himself with President William Ruto, was chased away from the podium where members of the party were discussing democracy. The ELA MP has accused Kioni of wrecking the Jubilee party, which is already facing internal and external challenges.
It's totally not Jubilee. We don't fight. We don't have acrimonious disagreements. Whenever we agree to disagree, and we always respect our institutions. The behavior that you have seen today of the former Secretary General to bring along goons to come and disrupt an internationally covered function whereby we had dignitaries from all over the world is demeaning to our party. It is something that is totally unacceptable, and we want to condemn it with the greatest terms possible and tell them that that is not what Jubilee believes in. So we want to say it's a bit unfortunate that they have decided that whatever is happening out there, the former Secretary General is now associated, with the sufurias and mass action and all that. Jubilee does not stand for mass action. And I want to say it categorically, that Jubilee does not subscribe to the mass action that is being propagated by Azimio.
And Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki now says the government is changing tact in dealing with notorious gun-toting bandits who have continued to terrorize residents of the North Rift despite a heavy presence of military and police boots patrolling the area. The announcement comes amid a hue and cry among leaders and residents of excessive use of force by security personnel, with claims of little change in the security situation in the North Rift region. Mwege William tells us more.
20 days since the launch of a joint operation where the military and police officers were deployed in 6 counties of the North Rift region, described as disturbed and dangerous by the Ministry of Interior, the government has announced new ratifications in dealing with what they termed as notorious terrorists. Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki now says security personnel have gained experience and better ways of dealing with the bandits.
We have, on the basis of the experience of the last 20 days, we have established what needs to be done. Some of the things that needs to be done will be done the same way, others will be done differently.
Kindiki declaring that security agencies will employ new strategies to deal with the menace in Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, West Pokot, Turkana, Samburu and Laikipia counties once and for all.
This administration will permanently end this problem. We will liberate the North from the hands of criminals.
The latest pronouncement by the Ministry of Interior follows numerous complaints from different quarters that the current ongoing security operation, which enters its 3rd week, had achieved little in neutralizing banditry, with security personnel accused of using excessive force on locals.
The KDF officers are just like flower girls in the Fale. They were deployed, but they are not doing anything.
Cannot continue losing the people of this region day in, day out.
Ile askari walipukusa ile watu hapa. Watu nakufa na njaa, ile watu nauza vitu yawe na wachui hawa ni innocent wakiuza vitu yawe.
Na sisi hatuna ng'ombe, hatuna bunduki, hatuchui bunduki hata sura yake.
Albeit the hue and cry from a section of leaders and residents from the affected areas, Kindiki revealed that the operation has made some headway in restoring a sense of security in the area, with more measures to be employed in coming days.
Up to now, we have received about 140 plus weapons of various types. The amnesty which had been given for 3 days lapsed and will not be extended.
For weeks since the commencement of the operation, still a number of incidents, including livestock theft and fatal reports, have been recorded from the area, albeit Boots patrolling the areas in a bid to flush out bandits, as Kindiki assures the government will bring to a stop banditry in the country. Mwigi William, TV47.
And the Consumer Federation of Kenya now wants the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyahururu, ousted from office for what he says is failing to protect the interest of Kenyans. Secretary General Stephen Mutoro is also pushing for Judicial Commission of Inquiry to be formed to investigate the expenditure of 55 billion shillings, which he alleges were approved by the Controller of Budget under the provision of Article 223 of the Constitution. Elizabeth Mutuku with the details.
A response sooner.
Appearing before the Public Petitions Committee, Mutoro insists the revelation by Controller of Budget, Dr. Margaret Nyahururu, is just a tip of the iceberg, urging for formation of Judicial Commission of Inquiry to investigate the matter, stating that 55 billion shillings will not have been irregularly spent if Nyahururu had not given an approval.
What you're doing, this House has powers. This committee has powers to direct the DPP, DPPP, and others to do a proper investigation. One, by ordering for a forensic audit through the Auditor General, at least for the month of July to September 2022.
When she appeared before National Assembly Petitions Committee, Nyahururu revealed that the former Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukuru Yatani had coerced her to approve a funding of 15.5 billion shillings for 2 state departments, which she did under 26 minutes. Further, Mutoro told MPs that Yatani and Nyahururu should take responsibility for violating the law in irregular use of funds, saying they worked in cahoots to abuse Article 223 of Constitution.
And of course, from the messages you saw an indication that the Cabinet Secretary was acting on behalf of somebody else. So if we say maybe she was under duress and had nowhere to run to, and what was left was to approve as per what she did, but of course with the defense from the conversations.
Joke you ever did. She had so many places to run to. What the first place she would have run to is to her own house. She would have left the job. Please tell her she should have rent to her house. She should have rent to her house. She should have left the job. What kind of a joke is? You know, when I was waiting to come here, Madam Chair, I took some time to research through your members, and I even discovered that you come from a neighboring constituency, Madam Chair, in Sydney. I was looking at the petitions committee and what have you. You are honorable members. Other than being members of parliament, you're professionals. There are certain jokes that you should not even expunge from the record of this house. Which duress? Were the police stations closed? Did, when you use a WhatsApp number 3, when you use a WhatsApp message, is it equal to a gun?
He poured cold water on Nyahururu's capability to exercise her mandate responsibility, scoffing at the revelation she made that WhatsApp messages from former CS Yatani pushed her to approve 15.5 billion shillings. The COFEX Secretary General wants Yatani implicated for abuse of power, pointing out that he initiated projects at the tail end of President Kenyatta's administration, which were not budgeted for by Parliament.
Would you have consulted all the colleagues so that you only ask the question you only asked, do we only have 26 minutes? That for me, I think the fundamental question that is an addition to my petition that we need to ask ourselves, both as honorable members of parliament and as Kenyans, do we really still need independent commissions? Madam Chair, I submit independent commissions must go. In the manner they are money guzzlers. They are about individuals who are protecting their interests. And I think it will be in the best interest of this country if we must recommend through this committee, Madam Chair, that independent commissions be done away with it, because they are not independent, or we need to define what independence is, and we also need to verify what independent means. Because if Madam Margaret Nyahururu would not have agreed to what she was probably told, then we will not be here.
Mutoro expressed that Article 223, Section 5 should limit the figures or amounts that the National Treasury can request without Parliament's approval. The article provides that the national government may not spend under this article more than 10% of the sum appropriated by Parliament for that financial year unless, in a special circumstances, Parliament has approved a higher percentage.
Because I understand, of course, the interest of time. Why am I making a case for a judicial commission of inquiry? Madam Chair, this issue is deep. This issue touches on other parts of government that ordinarily, and I need to be advised, Madam Chair, for example, the role of the Kenya Defence Forces in the proceeds of this kind of the money that we had from the lady. That I would want to defend anywhere, both within the Constitution and the fact that, Madam Chair, when did it happen? That was August, probably a day before elections and what have you. Where are we now? We are on probably 9th of March. How many months gone? Almost a year. Where have they been? Where have they been? So those two people, Madam Chair, and of course a few others.
Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47, Nairobi.
Right away from the corridors of Parliament into the classrooms, and Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu has assured Kenyans that learning is ongoing in junior secondary schools. Appearing before the Senate Education Committee, Machogu said the competency-based curriculum is here to stay and that Kenya must consider realignment to make the new system of education competitive in the region. Andrew Kilemi reports.
Why do we lay down procedures to be followed?
Appearing before the Senate Education Committee, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu said learning is ongoing for the 1.2 million learners in junior secondary schools.
Actually, teaching is going on in each and every junior secondary school in the country. There is nowhere that teaching is not going on, and I did indicate here very clearly that in each and every subject there is teaching going on, where we are also having a committee to deal with that problem. I say this particularly on science, because there are a few schools where we have challenges in science, and we are dealing with that particular program moving ahead.
His remarks coming amidst claims that learning in junior secondary schools, and especially in public primary schools, was marred with confusion following teacher shortage witnessed in the institutions. The education boss further told the committee that over 55,000 students are yet to report to schools for their secondary education, despite the government's 100% transition policy. He, however, told the committee that his ministry was working to ensure all learners are in school.
Even the 55,900 remaining, we are doing a mop-up, and I think we should be able to make progress to ensure that we have 100% transition.
Machogu assured Kenyans that the competency-based curriculum was here to stay, despite the criticism that the new system of education has been receiving. The members of the committee, however, said that there was need for proper review of the system to ensure a smooth implementation. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Meanwhile, the National Security Council has appointed Monica Juma as the secretary to the National Security Council. This is according to the head of the Public Service, Felix Koskei, in a Gazette notice dated 9th of March. At the same time, former Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, has been appointed as the Deputy National Security Advisor. Last year, September, President William Ruto appointed Juma as the National Security Advisor. According to the National Security Council Act of 2012, the secretary to the cabinet shall be the secretary to the council until a new secretary is appointed by the council. Now, Grace Onyango, Kenya's first female member of parliament, has died while undergoing treatment at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Hospital in Kisumu County. Grace, who was elected as Kisumu Town MP in 1969, died aged 98 yesterday. Her daughter, Pauline Akwacha, has confirmed. Akwacha has described her mother's death as a big blow to the family, further describing her as a matriarch who had the interest of the country and the progress of women at heart. Now, her death comes just a few hours after women across Nyanza celebrated her for her contribution to women's empowerment and inspiration to political leadership on International Women's Day. Several leaders have joined the rest of the country in mourning the matriarch, describing her as an iconic woman who contributed significantly to women's empowerment and hailed her as an iconic pillar of women's leadership. As to the health docket, Kenya joined the world in marking Kidney Day, with this year's theme being Kidney Health for All, preparing for unexpected, supporting the vulnerable. This as patients with ailments that have affected the kidneys continue to experience a number of challenges with limited access to treatment and poor control of non-communicable diseases attributed to the swelling cases of chronic kidney diseases in the country. Our reporter Sharon Baranga spoke to some of the patients and now reports.
At Gaitiguru village in Murang'a County, we meet 29-year-old Kennedy Muturo. For 9 years, life has been difficult for Muturo since his kidneys failed after he was diagnosed with high blood pressure. Since 2015, Muturo has not been able to normally pass urine.
Huwa naenda dialysis mara mbili kwa wiki, on Wednesday and Saturday. Na hii matibabu ya dialysis, daktari amefika pahali akaniambia nifanyiwe upasuaji ambao ni wa kidney transplant. Huwa natumia madawa ya high blood pressure. Ukiangalia mkono wangu hapa, uko na mpira ambao unaitwa fistula. Huu natumianga kuosha damu. Maana hiyo mkojo ambao haitoki, naenda kutolewa mara kupitia kwa hii mkono. Macho yangu imeharibika, masikio yangu imeharibika. Mifupa yangu huku inasikianga shida juu ya kukosa calcium ya kutosha kwa mwili.
Muturo says he didn't know he was battling high blood pressure and the diagnosis came as a surprise to him. Following his ailment, he was forced to close his business which was doing well in Thika Town, Kiambu County.
Nimekuwa nikilirai kwa well-wishers ambao wamekuwa wakinisaidia na niligojeka juu ya high blood pressure ambao imekuwa ikinisukuma sana.
But his journey in seeking treatment has not been easy.
Sasa amekuwa akiteseka na diet yake imekuwa hadi gumu kuipata. Juu si chakula yote huwa anakula.
Tumefanya harambee kama 6 hivi, lakini hatujapata matunda ya kupata hiyo pesa ambayo inahitajika.
Kaa juzi mwezi wa 4 tulikuwa huko Club Liquid Cash tukafanya fundraising, lakini pesa haikutosha. Saa na yenye tuliweza kuchaga amekuwa akienda nayo dialysis, so imekuwa ikitumika, so pesa inaenda kaa inapungua.
Wengine wamechoka, wengine hawajachoka na sisi, lakini tunaendelea tu kung'ang'ana.
To alleviate his pain, his brother has offered to donate one of his kidneys, but the family is stuck as they do not have the means to raise more than 2 million shillings needed for the transplant. And as the world marks World Kidney Day today, late diagnosis and poor control on non-communicable diseases has been attributed to the swelling cases of chronic kidney diseases in the country, with the government urged to put measures in place to save lives. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
Now, Kasarani-based detectives have revealed that they now have suspects and are following crucial leads to unearth what happened before the sudden death of 22-year-old Geoffrey Mwathu, who allegedly died after falling from the 12th floor of a story building in controversial circumstances. Norbert Odor with more.
The search for answers in the controversial death of Geoffrey Mwathu that has sparked debate both and offline could finally come to an end after the Directorate of Criminal Investigations confirmed that they have suspects on the case.
In this matter of the deceased Geoffrey Mwathu, which took place on 21st day of February, the investigation is almost complete. So far, no arrest has been made. In accordance to the investigation, what is actually leading for no arrest is actually what came out very clear in the beginning. So if there's anything which we could have even touched on anything, we would have arrested somebody by now. But as at now, not yet.
While the family still struggles to come to terms with their kin's sudden death, various theories have emerged, including suicide. However, family spokesperson Stephen Mushoki, who is an uncle to Geoffrey Mwathu, rejected the allegations, saying his nephew could not have committed suicide.
Nimekuwa very close na Jeff for years. Na Jeff hajai kuwa na suicidal thoughts. Hiyo ilikuwa tu, naweza ita personally, naweza ita ni flaming, lakini Jeff hajai kuwa suicidal.
Preliminary investigation shows that Geoffrey was in constant communication with his mother, who is in Qatar, and the police will be using this information to make arrests, as they already have leads on who could have murdered Geoffrey.
Mom, akipress sinitumie tuso sahi. Nimechatishwa na Jeff so ameniambia niende tupatane hapa Ruiru sahi. Alafu sikuwa na do, nilikuwa nagoja do jioni. Nilikuwa nagoja mado jioni.
On the fateful night, the deceased is said to have spent some time along Thika Road and left together with the popular DJ and went to the famous musician's house where they spent time with the 3 other ladies.
Just to let you know that when this incident took place, immediately, all the parties involved, we were with them through the investigation, because we went to the scene together, we had all the discussions with them, and we were able to be taken through what had happened.
The deceased was buried on Friday 3rd this month, with his friends failing to attend his funeral. It has left many with questions that continue to bring different controversy as to what could have killed the young man. The family has been left in agony as they continue to wait for investigation results from the DCI, whom they claim have taken long than they expected.
Okay, so far, hatuja receive any official communication from the investigative bodies. Tunangoja bado.
With the Directorate of Criminal Investigations now confirming that the investigations are still on concerning the death of Geoffrey Mwathu, their friends and family continue to pray that they will get justice. Norbert Oduor, TV47, Nairobi.
And hopefully justice will be found and served for the young man. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back with more.
As you enter a new phase of life, you may seem lost until you discover the passion within.
I'm happy that MKU decided to open a branch in Malindi to make work easier for those parents who have never been away from their kids or children.
That's all the equipment that I need to study and all the facilities that I need.
You've seen we have one of the most beautiful and ultra-modern structure.
Join us at Mount Kenya University and Equip Africa Institute Malindi Odell Center to build your future. Intake in April for electronic learning and May for distance learning. Mount Kenya University.
Unlocking infinite possibilities.
Karibuni.
Mount Kenya.
Kaluma King Herbal Lozenges zinazo nguvu maradufu kutuliza kikohozi, vidonda vya koo na mafua. Kaluma King ni shwari.
Tika mama huyo muharifu kaiba kuku zangu, vifaranga wangu na mayai zote pia kabeba. Haya, tika mama huyo.
Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
Kwa majina naitwa Brian Bosire. Niko hapa Webuye na uta Mkombera. Napenda Radio 47, hapo ndipo.
Welcome to Nyali Golf View Residence, where a luxurious accommodation is inspired by the Indian Ocean. This exclusive residential community offers the ultimate in coastal living along Links Road, Nyali, near Mamba Roundabout. With breathtaking views of the golf course, ocean and landscaped gardens, every moment spent in your home is an experience of tranquility, comfort and luxury. Every detail of your spacious, fully furnished apartment has been designed with your comfort and style in mind, with open-plan living spaces, high ceilings, and elegant finishes that exude sophistication and relaxation. Experience resort-style living with a wide range of amenities, including a state-of-the-art fitness center, swimming pool, children's playground, 24-hour security, and concierge services. Experience the ultimate in luxury living and golfing at Nyali Golf View. Contact us today to schedule a visit and discover the lifestyle of your dreams. Nyali Golf View Residence, luxurious accommodations inspired by the Indian Ocean.
Right, thank you for sticking around. This is TV47 News Tonight. Now, on a sad note, 2 people have died after they fell inside a borehole in Muthengera area, Nyahururu County, while doing a cleanup exercise. Gilbert Nalwa reports.
A sorrow mood engulfed Muthengera village in Igwamiti ward, Nyahururu sub-county, after 2 people fell in a borehole and died while they were conducting a cleaning exercise as the rainy season approaches.
Kijana mmoja alikuja nikampea kazi ya kuosha maji. Maji ilikuwa na uchafu, nikatumana akakuja na akakuja kuosha hiyo mashimo. Bahati mbaya ule alikuwa na yeye akapiga duru, tukakuja tukaangalia kama yeye nini nimefanyika, tukakuta ni kuanguka ameanguka.
According to the eyewitness, a middle-aged man who was tasked with the responsibility of cleaning up the well experienced some breathing difficulties after entering into the 70-feet well and called for help, something that triggered a neighbor to rush to the scene only for him to slip and fall inside, leading to a double tragedy.
Tukapiga duru, neighbor wakakuja na neighbor pia kuja kusaidia yeye akaanguka pia yeye.
After receiving calls of help from the residents, the area MCA Irene Washuka rushed to the scene accompanied by county rescue trucks, and after several hours of the mission, the bodies were retrieved from the well. She expressed her condolences to the affected families.
Majirani wakakuja wote na majirani wamefanya kazi mzuri, wasema wameng'eng'ana tangu nitoke hapa nifike hapa. Kazi ni kujaribu kutoa hawa watu juu hatungetoka hapa bila kutoa hiyo miili, na sasa imetolewa. Hiyo ilikuwa bahati mbaya, sisi ni kupea familia pole.
She further cautioned residents against involving themselves in dangerous activities, asking them to take the necessary precautions to prevent the recurrence of such tragedy. Gilbert Nalwa, TV47.
Meanwhile, a private investor has launched an emergency school feeding program in the drought-stricken parts of Kwale and Kilifi counties to make sure that the school-going children carry on with their attendance for better tomorrow. The teachers have welcomed the support, arguing that it is a good response to the humanitarian crisis occasioned by the current prolonged drought in the region, adding that the school performance is now likely to improve.
I've had a challenge in providing, especially...
And we have promised to provide school feeding program where we have selected 2 schools and 2 orphanages. We have done in Bungoni Primary School the food materials which should be enough for 2 months plus, and every 2 months we'll be adding on to provide during this toughest time as we are into drought season. We have also initiated supporting needy children through the local administration, and we have issued recently few checks to cater to the needy children who have really performed well as we have seen in the news that there are about 700 children still at home, could not go to secondary school because of lack of school fees.
This aid is going to go a long way to improve performance in our school, in that children will be present at school on daily basis. And other than that, it is going to boost the morale of kids being at school and also ensure that the performance of the place is elevated to the next level.
Now, Likoni Member of Parliament Mishi Mboko has faulted the President's mission to lower the cooking gas prices of food commodities that are basic to every Kenyan. Expressing her concerns, the Mombasa County Member of Parliament says that many Kenyans are unable to afford decent meals due to the high cost of living, thus resulting in high rates of crime within the society. As they find ways to meet their needs, she now wants President William Ruto to subsidize food commodities, rather the cooking gas, which he has promised to lower the prices to 500 Kenyan shillings by June 2023.
Wananchi wameshindwa kununua mfuko wa unga 240. Wananchi wameshindwa kupeleka watoto shule. Mambo yamekuwa magumu. When the president is doing subsidies in terms of gas, let also him do subsidies in terms of the food. Tunataka zile food commodities zile muhimu sana pia ziweze kupata subsidies. Mambo ya shule yapate subsidies. HELB, watoto wetu wa university. Tunaambiwa HELB itatolewa, watoto wa university watasoma vipi? Kwa hivyo tunamwambia Mheshimiwa Rais, our celebration will reach the climax when you are going to adhere with what you are requesting from you in your government to ensure ya kwamba njaa tuko nayo kina mama. Unga lazima ushuke chini. Shule watoto waende wasome. Shule lazima watoto waende wasome. Lazima jamani.
Manyata Member of Parliament Gitonga Mukunji is asking the national government to reconsider the distribution of national resources in line with the region's population as opposed to the landmass. The MP holds that it was not fair for counties with a large population to receive the same allocations and others with a smaller population, considering that the areas with a large population have more economic challenges compared to those with a smaller population.
Sielewi kwa nini Manyata constituency ambayo iko na shule karibu 170, ambayo iko na watoto karibu 15,000 mashule, inapewa pesa the same na constituency ingine huko ambayo iko na watoto pamoja na wazazi na kila mtu only 50,000. Inakuwa ngumu sana. Ati nilikutana na rafiki wangu mbunge wa mahali fulani, ananiambia mimi nimelipia watoto school fees kutoka form 1 mpaka form 4. Nikamuuliza, wewe uko na watoto wangapi? Akaniambia total number of kids wale niko na wao kwa shule zote zangu ni only 1,000. 1,000. Lakini Manyata constituency saa hii iko na 20,000 kids katika shule zetu. Ati alafu tunaambiwa shikeni pesa the same. Hiyo ni mnaitikia ama mnakataa? Mmeitikia ama mtakataa? Mimi nimesema na nimeanza kutayarisha bill ya kuleta kitu naita one man one shilling. Kama Manyata hakuna haja ya kujulikana tuko na land kiwango gani. Hata tujulikane sisi ni watu wangapi. Sawa sawa.
And Laikipia County Governor Geoffrey Mwathu has urged grassroots women to embrace change in technology for profitable and sustainable growth. Speaking at Solio village during International Women's Day, the governor noted that most women in the villages are using cell phones, commonly known as mulikamuzi, that have no access to the internet. During the celebration, the human rights defenders decried the retrogressive cultural practices in some communities in the county as a major hindrance to gender equality. Laikipia County Gender Coordinator Karen Kiogora said that women deserve equal opportunities like men in education, employment, and also supported morally and financially in their innovative ideas. On the same note, Laikipia Mukogodo Girls Empowerment Program Director Josephine Dirias noted that women need to be supported in amplifying the voices in the community and be at the front line in making decisions that concern them.
have been there to exist. So it's the high time we are trying to say no to the culture that is dominating those women, so that they can be able to access health services, education, and at least be in a table of decision making.
Nje kuna wale wanataka kununua lakini hawana hiyo habari ya kwamba kuna products kama hizi, na kwa hivyo mambo ya leo, theme ya leo ya mambo ya digital kwa teknolojia ni kitu ya muhimu sana kwa kina mama kujulishwa hayo, na kutumia hiyo teknolojia ya digital inaweza kupatanisha yule mama ako na products na yule mtu pale nje ako na shida ya ile product. Kwa hivyo kushikanisha ni kupitia kwa hizo mambo ya digital technology, na kwa hivyo tunaomba ya kwamba hiyo ni kitu kimoja kama serikali ya county tunaendelea na kuyafanya, na kwa sababu kupitia zile miradi tunataka kufanya ICT centers kwa kila kijiji na kwa kila wards, kutupitia hizo hata akina mama watafaidika kufanya biashara kupitia the online au digital technology.
But then when you come to the theme of the day, which is about innovation and technology, we have gone through the exhibitions and the farm demos, and we have seen the women have engaged themselves in innovations. What is lacking is about marketing their products, marketing their services. Yes, they have been introduced to the technology of the day, but now have their resources, have their products been marketed? That is the gap that we are facing today. And we would encourage the women to assess, to make use of the ICT.
Right, let's talk business now, shall we? And even as the world evolves digitally, Nairobi City has set the bar high as the first county in the country to sign a partnership to digitize county services and operationalize through My Nairobi app. The City Hub will enable citizens to access services with multiple functionalities, from revenue collection, offer public service online, and engage with county governor through Bonga na Sakaja. The city boss said that through the hub, the county government will be able to detect and give a clear outlook of the city economy. This comes a week after the President, William Ruto, said that at least 2,800 government services have been digitized. Speaking during the event at City Hall, Safaricom CEO Peter Ndego said digitizing and technology have great potential to transform county services, and promise they are ready for dialogue with various counties for fast uptake of technology in country. Stanbic, in country.
Commercially in the technology area, we want to be a purpose-led technology company, and the way we bring that mantra to life is we say we want to combine the role of technology and innovation to solve customer challenges and societal issues. So my Nairobi app is going to be, I'm sure, local lingua in Nairobi. We all live in Nairobi. M-Pesa app. And that will allow customers coming in or Nairobians coming into the super app to be able to use the services that you see today. It will also be available in other channels. It can also be available on USSD. So there's in terms of access, it doesn't discriminate whether you have a smartphone or a normal basic phone.
That needs communication systems. It will help us deal with our non-revenue water in the city. We'll be able to have the data you're talking about. We'll be able to tell where there has been infiltration, because if we look at the flow and the quantity and the pressure that is inordinately high coming from one part of the city or one specific point in the middle of the night, those night flows, it should be able to tell us what is happening. The first county to have an up-to-date valuation role for values of properties. We have a street naming and physical addressing system. Days and weeks to come, the people of Nairobi must be able to see the benefits of this.
Or maybe it should have been Bonga na Sakaja Ray. Now, out from that, despite high inflation recorded last year and this year at 9.2%, Stanbic Bank has recorded a rise of net profit by 26%, amounting to 9.1 billion shillings in the financial year ending 31st December 2022. The lender posted a 28% revenue growth to close at 32 billion shillings in the period under review. According to the lender, customer deposits increased by 12% to stand at 272 billion shillings, and some of the things attributed to this growth. Speaking during the event, Holdings Chief Financial and Value Officer Dennis Musau noted that the lender had made investments to drive faster customer acquisition, efficient and convenient service, and internal operation efficiency. The bank shareholders are expected to reap dividends of 4.98 billion shillings subject to shareholders' approval.
Business has got about assets of about $7.2 billion, deposits of about $5 billion, and generally has an ROE across the region of 20%, and a pretty impressive cost-to-income ratio of 45%. Last year, we had a pretty good growth numbers on the top line, 23% revenue growth, and a 37% growth on PAT. So a pretty good franchise. If you recall, during COVID, we'd all dipped below the 4% area. 4.9 billion Kenya shillings, which is roughly 55% of our profit after tax, largely driven by exceptional performance at the bank subsidiary. We do, as you know, we do have a few subsidiaries under the holding company, but the bank remains the most relevant. And that's why you're going to hear the story about the bank in a few minutes.
Our interest income grew by 26%, and you will see a correlation between that and our lending growth in the year. Our interest expense went up 15%. A bit of that you would understand. You'd have seen the increase, or you will see the increase in our customer liabilities, as well as increasing cost of.
And prepare your wine glasses as we cheers to this story. Serbian wine has been introduced in the country after years of existence in Serbia. This was said during the launch of the wine into the market at an event that was graced by different stakeholders, including Galina agencies and government officials from Serbia. Serbian wines is said to be affordable, and the introduction of the new drink is expected to not only boost regional businesses but create jobs.
The introduction of Serbian wines to the Kenyan market will not only provide us with an opportunity to enjoy the unique flavors of the wines, but also enhance the wine culture in East Africa, as that is now starting to grow. Following our interaction with Serbian wines at the Wine Vision last year in Belgrade, we decided to import 2 exceptional red wines and 1 white wine, as he has mentioned. I'd also like to thank the wine producers at Drought Winery, that's where the wines are from, and Everywhere Distributors, which is also an affiliate and one of our sponsors. Thank you so much. We'd also like to thank the Galina team there. The Galina team, thank you so much for all your hard work. We appreciate you.
And we are very happy that you guys were able to come, and it's very nice. We're looking forward to launching this, not just in Kenya, but in Africa.
Oh, you know, it's nice to see these wines from such a cold country. So I told her, no, we're not Siberia. We're not Zambia. We are Serbia. And Serbia is a very, very old country. For about 75 years, we were called Yugoslavia. So we came back to our old country. But we are warm people in a generally warm climate. We have some snow in January, February, but otherwise it's very...
All right, good stuff there. I have my own sort of wine glass here. Just that. Anyway, some good stuff. It is a Friday Junior anyway, so you can prepare your wine tasting for the weekend. Now let's get into the wonderful world of sports. Right now to some football action, and we do start with some AFC Leopards, and Amos Ekalia on goal handed AFC Leopards a 1-0 win against AFC Leopards in the FKF Premier League fixture against Wazito FC at the Moi Sports Centre, Kasarani. Now Wazito were looking to register the first win inside 5 minutes of play, but AFC Leopards took control of the game, forcing an own goal from Amos Ekalia in the 32nd minute to hand Ingwe maximum points. Wazito remained 17 on the log after the loss, having resembled only 10 minutes out of 17 matches that they have played, while AFC Leopards climbed out to the 5th position with 32 points.
Kidogo tumepoteza chances mingi sana, tutabidi tuwakie hizo chances tumepoteza, na kidogo kupoteza ball kwa rahisi. So wakati na kama team bado haijajali vizuri, kwa sababu kuna wageni tumeingiza kwa team, so hawajajali vizuri na wale wenye walikuwa kitambo. So tutajaribu kuwakia hiyo gelling, hiyo teamwork, hiyo coordination between the players, tuone kama itaingiana ili tuweze kuface game ya weekend. Football ni marathon, so bado kuna matches kama 17 ama 16 hivi, na mimi najua vijana tumeongeza kusaidia wengine kubifa, wengine najua watatufikisha mahali, so sina wasiwasi hata kidogo.
You know, the most important was those 3 points, the victory. We are also now on it's the 9th game in a row clean sheet, so that's really important. So we didn't start